A mother in California saw a stranger standing on her porch. She was home alone with her two young daughters. She didn't recognize him. So she did what most of us would do. She didn't open the door. Instead, she pulled up her security camera. She watched as the stranger stepped forward, raised his hand slowly, and held something directly up to the lens. What she saw made her cry. But to understand why this moment meant so much, you need to understand the fear that almost kept her from seeing it at all. Melissa Vang lived in Elk Grove, a quiet suburb just outside Sacramento. Tree-lined streets, friendly neighbors, the kind of place where you move specifically so your kids can ride bikes in the driveway without worry. But Melissa, like most parents today, had absorbed every headline, every doorbell camera clip of a porch pirate, every news segment about someone who opened the door and wished they hadn't. That kind of awareness doesn't just inform you, it reshapes how you move through the world. So when a knock came one afternoon, firm but not aggressive, quick but deliberate, Melissa's body responded before her brain could. She froze. Her husband wasn't home. Her daughters were playing in the next room, and no one, no friend, no neighbor, no delivery was expected. She quietly told her girls to stay away from the front of the house. Then she moved to the monitor connected to the camera above the door. The feed blinked on, a teenage boy standing on the porch, holding something she couldn't quite make out, no uniform, no package. No context she could piece together to explain why he was there. She didn't recognize him. That was enough. She stayed where she was. The boy didn't leave right away. He lingered for a moment, then seemed to notice the camera. And here's where the story takes a turn no one, least of all Melissa, expected. Instead of stepping back or walking away, he moved closer. Slowly, deliberately. He raised his hand and held an object right up to the lens. Melissa leaned in. It was a wallet, her husband's wallet. Her chest tightened. Inside that wallet was $1,500 in cash, money they'd just withdrawn for a large family purchase they'd been planning for weeks. The kind of amount that changes your week if it disappears. The kind most people would never expect to see again once it left their hands. And yet here was this kid, this stranger, holding it up to the camera like a receipt, turning it gently so she could see the ID, the cards, the cash, all of it, still there. Then, without rushing, he bent down and tucked the wallet behind a flower pot near the door. Carefully, precisely within the camera's frame. No sneaky glances over his shoulder. No hesitation. No sign that he'd even considered doing anything else. He stood up, turned around, and walked down the steps. He didn't look back. A few minutes passed. Melissa was still standing at the monitor, replaying what she'd just seen, trying to reconcile her fear with what the footage had clearly shown her. Then, another knock. Same rhythm, same door, he'd come back. Maybe he wasn't satisfied just leaving it on the porch. Maybe he wanted to make sure it actually reached the right person. Whatever his reason, he was standing there again, wallet in both hands, waiting. This time Melissa opened the door. Their eyes met. He looked a little nervous, the way someone does when they're not sure whether they'll be thanked or accused. There's a sad truth buried in that hesitation. We live in a time when doing something kind for a stranger can invite suspicion before gratitude. But Melissa didn't question him. She didn't interrogate how he found it or why he came back. She just thanked him, and meant it more than he probably realized. She'd watched the whole thing. She'd seen who he was when he believed no one was looking. And that version of him, the real one, the unperformed one, was more convincing than any explanation he could have offered. His name was Tyler Opdyke. He was 18 years old. That afternoon, he'd been walking the neighborhood handing out flyers for his uncle's pest control business. Not glamorous work. The kind of thing you do when you're young and someone in your family needs a hand and you say yes because that's how you were raised. While passing the Vang's driveway, he spotted the wallet lying on the ground near a car door. He picked it up, checked the ID inside, and without much deliberation, walked straight to the front door. In an interview afterward, Tyler said something that stuck with people. Not because it was poetic, but because it was plain. I just really thought about what I would want someone to do if I were to drop my wallet. That's it. No grand philosophy, no moral lecture. Just a kid applying the simplest, oldest principle most of us were taught before we could tie our shoes, and actually following through on it. He didn't know about the camera. Not at first. But when he noticed it, he didn't panic. He saw it as an opportunity, a way to show whoever lived there exactly what he was doing and where their wallet would be. That's not just honesty. That's awareness. That's emotional intelligence from someone who hadn't even started college yet. Melissa posted the security footage on social media that evening. Her caption was simple. God bless this young man's heart. The video spread fast, not because it was dramatic or shocking, but because it was rare. People shared it the way you share something that makes you feel briefly, unexpectedly okay about the world. Like passing along a deep breath, comments poured in. Most of them said some version of the same thing. We need more of this. And underneath that sentiment was something a little more vulnerable, an admission that many of us have stopped expecting. That we've quietly accepted a version of the world where strangers don't return wallets, where $1,500 in cash is as good as gone the moment it leaves your sight. Tyler's story didn't fix that. One act of honesty doesn't undo years of justified caution. But it did interrupt the narrative, just long enough for people to remember that not every stranger is a threat. Not every unknown knock is a warning. Melissa later admitted she felt a twinge of guilt for not answering the door the first time. But here's the thing. She was right not to. She made the call any good parent would make with the information she had, and it was precisely because she didn't open the door that the camera captured what it did. Her caution didn't prevent the kindness. It preserved it, on video, for the world to see. There's something almost poetic in that. The same instinct that told her to protect her family is what allowed Tyler's character to be witnessed in its most honest form. Unperformed, unaware, and unmistakably real. Tyler didn't do it for the camera. He didn't know anyone was watching. He didn't calculate whether returning $30,000 in cash was worth it. He just made a decision, quietly, quickly, and without fanfare, because it lined up with who he was when no one was keeping score. And maybe that's the part worth sitting with. Not the viral moment, not the happy ending, but the ordinary, unremarkable way Tyler chose honesty. Like it wasn't even a choice. Like it was just the obvious thing to do. Sometimes that's all a good story needs to be. If this story made you pause even for a second, consider sharing it with someone who could use a reason to believe people are still good. Hit subscribe if you want more true stories like this one. Stories that don't shout, they just knock. And sometimes, if you're paying attention, you open the door.